We begin this Independence Day with our eyes at the White House. Very soon, President Trump will sign into law sweeping legislation he describes as that big, beautiful bill. The House passed the Senate version of the controversial bill after a marathon haggling session and that record-breaking floor speech in opposition of it yesterday. You'll remember we brought that to you live throughout the morning. Today, it becomes the law of the land. CBS News White House reporter Aaron Navarro joins us now with more on all of this. Aaron, good afternoon to you. So what should we expect to see this afternoon? Because this signing of this cornerstone piece of legislation is a part of the official White House 4th of July picnic. So how will it all come together?
Yeah, Aaron, good to be with you on this 4th of July. This event, which is going to be a bill signing ceremony, as well as a big 4th of July picnic for military families, is expected to happen at the White House around 5 p.m. today. And according to the president's words yesterday when speaking to reporters, as he will sign that bill, which he has called the, quote, one big beautiful bill, there will be a flyover of B-2 Spirit bombers over the White House. These are the same aircrafts that were used in the American strikes on Iranian nuclear sites just a couple weeks ago. We also know that President Trump has invited his whole cabinet, Republican members of Congress, to attend as they really celebrate the passing of this bill that the president, especially this week, has spent a lot of his political capital working to get passed through Congress.
And Aaron, this bill is 900 pages. I certainly haven't looked through it. There might even be some Congress people who don't know every specific detail, but the rest of the country is reacting to what will be a change of many different types of laws. What has the reaction been in Washington since this all became official?
Yeah, among Republicans, they are happy that they got this bill passed. This is sort of a small political window that President Trump has in this second term, just given the Republican control of Congress. Potentially in 2026, depending on how the midterm elections go, it could be a different party controlling Congress for the last 2 years of President Trump's term. That's why you've seen the White House, seen the president really play up the importance of getting this bill passed, especially when it comes to extending his 2017 tax cuts. On the other side, you're seeing Democrats ready to use this bill, particularly what it does in terms of cutting Medicaid, Medicare, funding for rural hospitals, as a way to make a political argument against Republicans in the 2026 midterms. Take a listen, though, to President Trump and how he said that Republicans should argue in favor of this bill.
I want to thank Republican congressmen and women because what they did is incredible last night, and the Senate, the Republican Senate. We got, not with all of the things we did with the tax cuts and rebuilding our military, not one Democrat voted for us. And I think we use it in the campaign that's coming up, the midterms, because we got to beat them. But all of the things that we've given, and they wouldn't vote only because they hate Trump. But I hate them too, you know that?
Yeah, the president made those remarks during an appearance on the Iowa State Fairgrounds, his first big public remarks since this bill passed. And from talking to about Republican operatives who will help support Republicans in the upcoming 2026 midterms, they say that they can campaign on the tax cuts and border funding that this bill has.
And Aaron, one of the other big stories we're following out of the White House today is President Trump's fresh phone call with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. This wrapped just a few hours ago. We know yesterday the president had a conversation with Russian President Vladimir Putin. What's new on that front?
Yeah, that call with Putin, interestingly, the president admitted he did not make much progress when it comes to the Ukraine-Russia war, which he has said that he wants to end. We have not heard yet from the president or the White House about that call with Zelensky earlier today. According to a post from President Zelensky, they said that they talked about the recent Russian airstrikes, the broader frontline developments, and Zelensky thanked President Trump for his attention to that war, talked about potential, military resources coming from the U.S. to Ukraine. But again, we have not yet heard from the White House on this.
All right, we'll update our viewers when we do. Aaron Navarro, thanks so much.